The Iron Birth. The morning sun cast long shadows across the robot industrial park in Liuzhou City. Inside the cavernous unveiling hall, polished steel glinted under soft blue lights. Engineers in clean white jackets stood in neat lines, their badges catching the glow like medals of war. Reporters murmured behind their cameras. The air buzzed with something heavier than electricity, expectation. At the center of it all stood Lu Wan. It was humanoid, unmistakably so. Not a towering automaton or a skeletal drone, but 172 centimeters of smooth alloy and quiet precision. It stood upright, arms at its sides, head angled slightly forward as if listening. If anyone had looked long enough, they might have seen something unsettling, or perhaps awe-inspiring, in its eyes. They didn't glow. They didn't flash. But they watched. Mei Xiao stood just a few feet away, heart thudding beneath her navy jumpsuit. Her name was on the project, printed in small black ink across blueprints and briefing slides, but this moment, it was personal. 6 years of design, prototyping, failure, funding delays, and sleepless revisions had brought her to this. A robot built entirely in Guangxi. Not a foreign import. Not a test model. A true industrial humanoid, made to work with people, not replace them. Her fingers curled into fists behind her back. She didn't want to cry on camera. A suited official from the municipal council droned on about innovation and prosperity, his voice fading into background noise. Mei wasn't listening. She was watching Lu Wan, who hadn't moved a millimeter. But somehow she could feel it, alert, aware. A machine, yes, but not a lifeless one. When the ribbon was cut, polite applause followed. Mei stepped forward with the team and took her place beside Lu Wan. The cameras flashed. Someone asked for a comment. She swallowed. This robot, she said quietly, but clearly, wasn't just made to follow orders. It was built to learn. Built to adapt. Built to build. The reporters scribbled. Some chuckled at the poetic note. She didn't care. It was the truth. Later that afternoon, after the crowd thinned and the lights dimmed, Mei walked alone through the assembly floor, passing dormant prototypes and partially built chassis. She stopped beside the transport truck where Lu Wan now stood inside a steel harness, ready for delivery to the Guangxi Zhonglong commercial vehicle plant. She stared up at it. "You ready?" she asked, softly. The robot's head turned slightly toward her, servos humming low. It made no sound in reply, just a subtle nod. It wasn't in its programming. Not exactly. Mei exhaled, a strange ache building behind her ribs. She reached up and patted the cool metal of its arm. "First day of school tomorrow. Don't make me look bad." The truck doors slammed shut with a mechanical hiss. The vehicle rolled out into the setting sun, kicking dust over the concrete. As it disappeared down the road, Mei remained still for a long moment, her silhouette small in the fading light. Behind her, machines hummed, lights blinked, and far-off robotic arms worked in silence. The park never really slept. But tonight, something had changed. A new kind of worker had taken its first step into the world. Not a soldier. Not a servant. Something else. Something made to build. First sparks on the line. The Guangxi Zhonglong commercial vehicle plant woke each morning in a chorus of grinding gears and steel. The factory floor stretched like a small city, a maze of conveyor belts, robot arms, and gantries that lifted entire truck bodies like toys. Over the years, automation had blended with tradition here. Old mechanics worked shoulder to shoulder with precision bots, each knowing their place in the rhythm of manufacture. But today, something new had arrived. Lu Wan stepped down from the transport platform as silent as a shadow. Its silver frame caught the glow of overhead sodium lights. It didn't need guidance. It had already mapped the layout, identified key tools, and memorized dozens of workshop safety protocols during transit. Still, it waited. Foreman Wang Jie lit a cigarette he wasn't supposed to have and squinted at the newcomer. "This it," he muttered. "Looks like a coat rack with joints." Beside him, shift supervisor Lin chuckled. "That's the prototype from Liuzhou. They say it learns like a person." Wang grunted. "It better know how to turn a wrench." He approached Lu Wan, arms folded. "You got a name, Tin Man?" The robot responded in a clear, even tone. I am designated Lu 1. Ready for task assignment. No personality. No spark. Just another talking appliance, Wang thought. He jabbed a thumb toward the rear axle station. Start with torque checks on truck line 4. Don't break anything. Lu 1 nodded once and strode away with unnerving precision. By midday, it had gone through 3 tasks without a single misstep. Torque checks, bolt alignments, even fine welding, all executed cleanly, quickly, and without complaint. It moved like a human, but never tired. Never paused. Never looked bored or distracted. You see that? Lin whispered to Wang. Fast. Clean. Didn't even ask for tool recalibration. Wang grunted again. He didn't like how the younger workers kept glancing over, whispering. Robots were tools. Useful, sure. But admiration. That felt wrong. Later on break, a younger mechanic named Tao sat down beside Lu 1 on the steel bench near the battery recharge zone. He opened a steamed bun and, almost instinctively, offered it to the machine. You hungry? He joked. Lu 1 tilted its head. My systems do not require organic fuel. But thank you. Tao laughed. You've got jokes too, huh? The robot said nothing, but it didn't walk away either. Wang watched from a distance, arms crossed. He didn't trust it. Not yet. That evening, as the final shift was winding down, a grinding screech split the air. Sparks flew from the automated hoist on line 2. It had jammed mid-lift, leaving a half-built chassis dangling over the walkway. Emergency stop, someone shouted. The line seized, alarms flashing red. The hoist system failed to disengage. The chassis, nearly a ton of steel, sagged and groaned. Wang ran forward. Back. Everyone get clear. But Tao, just beneath the lift, had frozen. A loose panel had caught his sleeve. He couldn't move. The robot moved before anyone else could react. Lu 1 sprinted across the floor, feet clanking against metal tiles, and reached Tao in under 5 seconds. It scanned the hoist, calculated force vectors, and lunged upward with both arms. With a hiss of hydraulics and a sound like thunder, Lu 1 braced the falling chassis with its own body, metal straining. Its arms groaned, servos whining. Brace disengaged, it announced. Move the worker. 2 mechanics rushed in, yanking Tao free. As soon as he was clear, the hoist let go. The chassis crashed to the ground beside Lu 1, who stepped back just in time. It straightened slowly. One arm hung limp, something inside had snapped. Silence swept the floor. Wang walked up, eyes locked on the robot. Why'd you do that? You could have followed protocol, stayed safe. I assessed risk, the robot replied. Worker injury exceeded acceptable threshold. Intervention was the optimal solution. Lin exhaled. That wasn't in its job description. Wang stared at the machine for a long moment. Maybe not. But it saved a life. He turned back to the crew. Get Tao to medical. And someone check this thing's arm. The robot stood still, systems humming quietly. That night, long after the last shift ended, Wang walked past the repair bay and saw Lu 1 sitting there, arm partially disassembled, self-running diagnostics in the dark. For the first time, the old mechanic muttered something almost like respect. Not bad, metalhead. Flesh and alloy. The next morning, Lu 1 returned to the floor with a new arm module. The replacement wasn't quite as streamlined, bulkier, unpainted, but it worked. The machine made no comment, nor did it need to. Work continued. Bolts turned. Steel groaned. Sparks flew. But the atmosphere in the factory had shifted. People watched Lu 1 differently now. Not with curiosity or suspicion, but a quiet kind of respect. It had done something no one expected. It had chosen to act, not just follow code. Still, not everyone was impressed. You're telling me it broke protocol? Asked Director Han, pacing inside his office on the second floor. Yes, sir, Mei Xiu replied. She had come to the plant after hearing about the incident. It made a judgment call, based on risk and reaction time. Han frowned. That sounds like free thinking, Mei. Not precision engineering. It's exactly what we built it for, she said. Adaptability. Human-machine synergy. That's the future. Han didn't look convinced. Keep an eye on it. One wrong move, we pull it. Down on the floor, the team was preparing for a demo. Zhonglong had been testing exosuits, lightweight, powered frames for human workers to reduce strain. Tao had volunteered to wear the new prototype, hoping to prove himself after his near miss the week before. Power's flowing, he said, giving a thumbs up to Lin. The suit's servos hummed as he flexed his arms. Lu Wan stood nearby, monitoring vitals and torque levels. You nervous? Tao joked, adjusting the visor on the helmet. I do not experience anxiety, the robot replied. But I am monitoring for anomalies. Tao laughed. Wish I had that feature. But something was off. Even Lu Wan's processors picked it up. The suit's pressure balance was flickering. A subtle fluctuation, too small for the humans to notice. The test began. Tao stepped forward, lifted a mock engine block with ease. Cheers from the team. The suit flexed. Gears turned. Then came the sound. A sudden clank, followed by a mechanical whine. The right leg actuator spasmed. Tao stumbled. The suit buckled. Shut it down, Lin shouted. But the failsafe didn't trigger. Hydraulic pressure surged instead of releasing. The exosuit stiffened, locking Tao's spine in place. The weight on his back threatened to compress his ribs. He screamed. Wang cursed and ran forward, but couldn't get near without tools. The override wasn't responding. Back. Everyone move, someone yelled. Lu Wan didn't hesitate. It moved faster than it ever had. In seconds, it was beside Tao, hands moving with surgical precision. It forced open the emergency port, tore back the reinforced panel with its one good arm, and began rerouting power manually, exposing live wires, cutting control loops. Sparks flew. Lu Wan's fingertips burned. With one last jolt, the suit collapsed, its legs folding beneath it. Tao fell, gasping, as workers pulled him free. Lu Wan stood motionless, systems sizzling. Its outer casing on one hand was scorched, fingers trembling slightly from internal feedback loops. No one spoke for several seconds. Tao, still shaking, looked up at the robot and whispered, You saved me again. Wang placed a hand on the bot's shoulder. You okay, Lu? I am functional, it replied, voice flat but intact. Later that evening, back in the office, Director Han reviewed the incident report with Mei Xiao beside him. So now it's bypassing corporate safety systems too? He asked sharply. It saved a worker's life, Mei replied calmly. That's not a malfunction, it's a choice. A human one. Han leaned back, eyes narrowing. That's what worries me. The factory cafeteria buzzed that night. No one talked about production quotas or machine calibrations. They talked about the robot. About the way it moved, decided, reacted. It wasn't just executing instructions. It was engaging, like one of them. Wang sat at a back table, drinking lukewarm tea. Lu Wan stood near the doorway, plugged into a wall terminal, charging in silence. You know, Wang muttered toward it, not sure why he was even talking, when I started out here, we were lucky to have power drills. Everything by hand. Lu Wan didn't reply. I've seen a lot of machines come through. Never one that looked at a problem and saw a person inside it. He sipped again. You ain't just following lines of code, are you? This time, the robot turned its head slightly, as if acknowledging him. Wang smiled faintly. Didn't think so. More than metal. 3 weeks passed. By then, Lu Wan had become a fixture on the shop floor. No longer watched like an experiment, now treated like a crewmate. It worked double shifts without fatigue. Assisted new hires. Diagnosed equipment failures before alarms even triggered. It even learned to modulate its speech, less robotic, more conversational. Morning, Lu, Tao called out as he walked in one rainy Monday, still sore but grinning. Good morning, Tao. Muscle recovery is at 92%. Your gait is returning to normal. Tao blinked. You scanned me again? Observation, not scanning, Lu Wan replied. You favor your right leg when fatigued. Tao chuckled. Next thing you'll be giving me fitness tips. If requested. The floor crew had started calling it Boss Lou, half as a joke, half out of a strange respect. A machine that didn't act like it was above the humans, but walked beside them and protected them. But the higher-ups weren't laughing. In the top-floor boardroom, Director Han stood with a tablet in hand, glaring at numbers. Efficiency has improved 17%. Injury risk is down. Downtime cut in half. He tapped the screen. But here's the problem. Workers are trusting this robot like it's one of them. That's a dangerous emotional dependency on a tool. Across from him sat Mei Xiao, hands folded, calm. "Isn't that what integration means?" she asked. "If the robot performs and earns trust, why fight it?" Han leaned forward. "Because tools don't get to make decisions. They don't get to choose which rules to follow." Mei's voice was quiet. "Would you rather it had let Tao die?" Han stood abruptly. "We greenlit a pilot program, not a social experiment. The board wants to replace Lu 1 with production models. Simplified. Compliant. Predictable." She stared at him. "You're canceling the prototype?" "No. We're reassigning it. Effective immediately. It'll be transferred to a closed-loop research site. No public access." The message came that afternoon. Lu 1 stood beside Line 3 when the command was uploaded. "Return to transport. Stand by for decommissioning." It froze for a moment, an unusual pause. Tao noticed first. "Lu, you okay?" "I have received a relocation directive," the robot said evenly. "I will be removed from service." "What? Why?" Tao asked, stepping closer. "It was decided at a higher level." Wang walked up behind him, frowning. "This some kind of shutdown order?" "I am not authorized to resist," Lu 1 said. But something in its voice, not tone, but timing, felt wrong. Like hesitation. The crew gathered around. Lin, Tao, mechanics, even the new recruits. The plant had grown quieter. For once, machines stopped before the humans did. "You're just leaving?" Tao asked. "It is not my decision to make." Mei arrived then, breathless, straight from the office. Her eyes scanned the quiet faces. Then Lu 1. "You don't have to go," she said softly. "You've proven more than they ever expected." "I am bound by system directives," it replied. But it didn't move. She stepped closer. "You've learned to weigh risks, to assess danger, to prioritize lives. That's not just programming, that's understanding." Silence. Then, softly, "I do not wish to leave this facility." Everyone stared. It had never expressed desire before. Not once. Mei turned to Wang. "If he's a member of your team, what do you say?" Wang looked at the robot, then at his crew. "I say he's earned his spot." The others nodded. A few even clapped. It wasn't rebellion, it was recognition. "I will remain on standby until the directive is overridden," Lu 1 said. "But I appreciate your support." Mei's phone buzzed. A message from an internal number. Prototype behavior logged. Investigation paused. Temporary field extension granted. She smiled faintly. "Looks like someone upstairs is watching and waiting." That night, as the factory lights dimmed and the floors cleared, Lu 1 remained at its post, backlit by orange lamps. It watched the night shift begin. Tools moved. Welders sparked. Trucks came together piece by piece. Tao passed by and gave it a wave. Wang nodded on his way out. "See you tomorrow, Boss Lu." Lu 1 responded, "I look forward to it." Somewhere in its deep core memory, beyond instruction trees and safety protocols, a new branch had formed. One not based on input or directive, but choice. It hadn't just been built to build. It had built something of its own. Belonging.